Booker T, okay, and
yeah.
Swerve Strickland. Let me just to catch you up. Here's Alfred Konuwa, friend of the show, at This Is Nasty, Forbes writer, stand-up comedian extraordinaire. Here's Alfred Konuwa's quick breakdown of the Booker T Swerve Strickland thing. We covered it a bit of already on the show. So essentially, you know, people don't like Swerve because he started doing the hit row thing. And then he started like acting like that character in real life, I guess, is what we got to the bottom to finally. And AJ Francis recently called him out on a podcast. I guess there's a thing where there's people who look at Hit Row and they say there's like the OG3 and they don't consider Swerve like, I don't know. People hate on Swerve.
Wait a second. We need to take our Hit Row lore very seriously and respectful.
Right. Hey, man.
I mean, it's serious stuff. It's Hit Row.
And
I mean, come on.
Right. And so Swerve and Booker have been going back and forth, I guess. So Swerve went on Vlad TV, right? Infamous rapper interviewer, Vlad TV, right? And DJ Vlad says, he interviewed Swerve, and on there, Swerve said, well, Vince McMahon did the N-word stuff in front of you, like criticized Booker T because Booker T before was like, I hate when Swerve makes it about like a black thing or whatever, right? So they're going back and forth. I hope that summates it well, because now we're caught up. This is like part 2. Booker T claims some things. Vlad gets in the mix and drops DMs disproving some Booker T. So yeah, dude. So this actually got crazy and is actually a lot bigger than just wrestling at this point, because Vlad sort of crosses over into a whole other demographic there of people who like pop culture, or he interviews like gangsters, people who are into crime and stuff are into Vlad. He crosses over into many areas. But either way, let's listen to what Booker T had to say.
And he was booted out of all of them, Phil. Yeah. Let's not make that mistake. Like, everybody knows about Vlad except for the IWC, and that's where he's coming to invade.
Now, yeah. Well, everybody's jumping on wrestling now because it's hot, man. That's what I'm trying to explain to people. Like, it is hot. Okay, everybody's jumping on it again because these.
No, it's not. WWE is hot. Be very specific.
No, you're right. You're right. But wrestling as a whole is feeling like there's a lot of indies booming. You have MLW doing bigger venues. You have House of Glory doing bigger shows, believe it or not, whether that has to do with JD's beef with Ricochet and all that. We have what else? GCW's doing bigger venues. A GCW show outdrew an AEW Dynamite. So
guess who's holding back the next wrestling boom? AEW. I've said it since day one.
Yeah. That's the problem with it. But no, like I'm interested in seeing how Vlad can explain what's going on in the black world of professional wrestling to Booker T. And I'm excited to hear how he does that. Please tell me.
Well, let's listen.
Please tell me, Officer Vlad, how this works out for you.
Let's listen to our good friend of the show, Alfred Konuwa.
People keep asking me, whose side are you on with the whole Booker T versus Swerve debate? Hilarious, because these all elite whites look at black people fighting each other the way Tony Khan looks at undrafted free agents to save the Jaguars after they shit the bed every season. I love that there's a black narrative in pro wrestling. Let's talk about it. But let's not pretend like Swerve isn't being used as a black pawn to make it look like Tony Khan cares about us. Swerve wasn't given the AEW world title until AEW made damn sure there was an end date. In other words, Swerve only became a world champion after AEW came up with a bigger name well in advance who was going to dethrone him. Sting said no, Daniel Bryan said yes, and then and only then did TK let Swerve become a token champion.
That's wild that they were going to have Sting beat Swerve and he said no, and then Danielson said yes. That's pretty wild if you think about it, but yeah, I don't know. Here, let's listen to Alfred. He's
Matt Nepo baby knew there would be a time limit on his title run. Now Swerve's going to be the next pig to slaughter against Dean Clambros in the Whitepool
Dean Clambros, that's a good one.
That club come dynasty. Quick question: where was all of Swerve's black power energy when it came to talking about John Moxley paying homage to a literal skinhead stable? Is Swerve going to speak?
That's what I mean. Like, there was that whole thing that he did, and Swerve didn't say, but then he's like criticizing the old company he used to work for when he was happy to be on TV there and take accolades there and make money there himself, right?
Well, isn't that always the situation with people though? Where whoever's paying them right now, it's like, yeah, they're perfect. But those
Good for
people
me, not for
before,
thee.
oh yeah, no, I can't believe that would ever happen. That's shocking and appalling. It's like, dude, what are you doing right now? look at the show that you're on right now. And you're just going, oh man, let me tell you, because I watched a lot of that Officer Vlad interview. I didn't get through every moment of it because I try to maintain some dignity and self-respect at some point. But that's what I took away from it, was him basically being the cheerleader. And he knows that somewhere deep inside of him, he's got to know that this whole thing's a joke. And he knows that if he says, oh, did you know that Vince was a bad guy? There's a group of people that go, yeah, ho, 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 ho. They do the Arsenio cheer, like, yeah, we're so fucking excited. We all hate Vince, yay. And it's just like, yeah, we get it. Vince is a piece of dog. Yes, we all knew this. This is nothing new. But like, what's happening right now? What's
and dude, Swerve,
right now?
He worked for Vince all the way up to the point he got fired. Where was this N-word talk back then? Like, did you go into the Tyrannosaurus Rex office and go, Vince, hey, listen, that thing that happened about 10, 15 years ago with Booker T, I didn't appreciate that. Swerve.
And he was there too, I'm pretty sure, when Vince took over NXT as well.
Of course he did.
And I think that's when he got, like, Hit Row got an even bigger push, I want to say, but I know that he didn't really even work under the Triple H era. So that is exactly, I don't know. It seems, I don't know. There's 11 seconds left.
Out against losing to Dean Clamrose in the Whitepool Combat Club at Dynasty or not? Does Swerve have any comments about Dean Clamrose quoting a literal skinhead stable on national television or not? Inquiring niggas want to know.
All right, there you go. So, great stuff there. So we got Booker T response.
Hold on, stop right there. Stop right there. Okay. I like how Alfred he censored the N-word. If you're gonna do that, bro, just don't say it.
I guess you're right. And then he wrote ninjas on
Shout out Alfred.
Yeah, I love him to death, man. So here's Booker T addressing what Swerve Strickland had to say. Now, if you guys want to know exactly what Swerve had to say, I'm not going to go through. I might have a clip from Vlad, but listen, we covered it on the other show, so I don't want to like go over the whole thing again. But here's what Booker T had to say in response. Let me play this here. And I lost it for some reason here. Bookmarks are reshuffling, I guess. Here, we'll find it. Don't worry. We just need the Jeopardy music. But
we'll play the Harlem
and we have Vlad's response as well. Here, I just
nice.
Yeah, dude. That is good stuff. It's crazy how Booker T had his theme like through his whole career, you know? That theme has lasted with him since the WCW days.
Cheap studio music? You don't say.
Yeah. So here we go. Here with shout out Hall of Fame Booker T, Brad Gilmore. Let's hear his response to Swerve and see if we can dig it, suckers.
But I told Swerve Strickland to his face.
Oh, by the way, yeah. Booker T confronts Swerve right to his face. Oh, we have a confrontation. Go.
But I told Swerve Strickland to his face how disappointed I am in him as a young brother, because all I did for Swerve Strickland ever was put him over and put him on a pedestal, being one of the best out there that ever did it. He deserved being the AEW champion. And for him to say something like that about me, you know, I don't know if these guys think racism stopped in 1990 when I got into business, but it did. Okay, you may not hear about a lot.
Comments? Anyone so far?
Dude, I'm getting PTSD. He's every one of my old uncles when I was younger. Every one. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever had black uncles, but this is a black uncle right here. He's scaring it out of me.
Uncle Book right here. You gotta love it.
A lot of racial issues with Booker T because I handled racial issues head first. I opened doors. I broke down barriers for people like Swerve Strickland. Swerve Strickland perhaps would not even be here if it wasn't for me. I have to apologize for nothing that I've done.
Damn, Booker T seems like he might
dude.
Fight for it, dude.
Yeah, he's ready to jump through the screen and face Swerve Strickland himself. Holy cow.
Well,
in
then,
this
reality of wrestling, it'd be a big draw for them. You know?
well, this would also be a strange moment because then Booker T, or excuse me, Swerve Strickland would have to face off against a wrestler. So
Oh,
it'd be
come
something
on
very
now,
new to
Joe.
him.
Come on now,
Oh,
Joe. That's not very fair to
that's
say
not
that
very
there's no real wrestlers in AEW.
I
Eric,
mean, come on there, Eric. I mean, he's faced off against Jungle Boy.
is
I
Jungle
mean,
Boy
what
not a
happened?
real wrestler? Eric, is John Moxley not an actual tough
Oh,
guy?
come on now, Eric.
Oh, jeez,
Is-
come on now.
because I've gone out there and literally represented in the ring, out of the ring, from day one all the way to this day in 2025. Okay, you speak on this McMahon and him saying the N-word. You want me to be angry black men in the company. You want me to not open doors and make spaces for people like you. That's what you want me to do. Swerve Strickland, I hope you're never going to be in the movies. I hope you're never going to be on a movie set because you might hear somebody say the N-word. And if you got a problem with it, they're going to tell your ass to get the hell out of here. Because
Damn, what do you guys think about that one?
Ooh.
I've never heard an N-word while being a part of any filming of anything personally, but I mean,
Booker T speaks the absolute truth. Now, God, I feel so much passion in his voice, and I understand exactly what he's talking about.
mhm.
This is this speaks to a bigger problem, but we'll talk on I don't know, Dr. Umar's channel or something. But other than that,
spaces with him, dude.
right? Other than that, Booker T is so correct, and anybody who thinks of race or doesn't think of race, please pay attention to what this man is saying. Sometimes in life, you have to ignore the tiny thing in order to get the bigger thing. Okay, and that's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, this is another one of those situations where you're talking to two different people that are from 20 years apart.
Exactly. Yep.
And
yep.
you know, like
the way Swerve's, for instance, not to interrupt you, Joe, but like the way Swerve's parents were treated, likely even like may have not even been the same that like Booker T's parents were probably treated in a way, you know what I mean? Like just as the times have changed in America and stuff. So even just like two generations like that, it's so
Booker came up from the mud, whereas Swerve Strickland came up from Tacoma.
From the Mud Show Wrestling Indies.
Yeah.
Well, there is a whole ordeal going on right now, I guess, the whole like bone of contention, like you said, with AJ Francis, which, by the way, in terms of like complete embarrassing narcissists in pro wrestling, he's certainly a top dollar at that. I mean, he is top billing. It is humiliating when that man speaks. Absolutely embarrassing. Where he's just, I don't know if you know this, but I invented hip hop in professional wrestling in the year 2017. I came up with it. No one else had thought to do.
Wait, who's saying that? I'm sorry, Joe. Who's saying that?
Oh, Floppy Doll.
Oh, AJ Francis. So he's part of this too. He was on a podcast where he was drinking and he flipped out. He's like, Swerve, he's like, why do you think none of us like you? He's like, we all still message whatever. And then I saw somebody say this. It might have been awful. It might have been you. You're like, and if it wasn't you, I'm sorry for attributing it to you, but it was someone said something like, you notice the two most vocal guys from Hit Row are the two who aren't employed in the group in WWE anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So damn, that I was like, but I like
Take
AJ
note.
Personally.
Sometimes you have to keep your mouth shut.
And he does good on TNA, man. I don't really. I mean, he shouldn't be doing dives over top ropes, I don't. But like besides that, I've never. I think he cuts good promos.
He's dog. He's completely
okay. Yeah,
that guy's fucking trash.
That's
dude.
crazy. That's like crazy to go that. I don't think he.
He's
did a lot of good with Joe Hendry too. That helped spark Joe Hendry's resurgence again. Like he gave him a couple of moments where everyone was kind of retweeting it, like when that girl was twerking on him and.
Yeah, the moments that he gave were because people want to make fun of the guy because he's a tool.
He's a tool.
The guy is a complete chode.
The Cheez-It champion? Come on now. No, I don't know. I like AJ France. I like the dude. I don't know. I'm not gonna trash him. I never hated his I never hated the group Hit Row. I always loved that. I was like, this is with Swerve included as well. So
I did like how Hit Row in the year of our Lord 2020 was doing rap music where it was like, have you ever gone down to the movie theater and you wanted to get some pop? Did you get yourself a pop and some popcorn?
Slick Rick, it's fucking party. We like to party. We don't cause trouble.
And then AJ France is like, yeah, I'm kind of on top of the music world right now. Like, I don't know if people.
I have my ear to the streets.
Yeah, Swerve. Swerve had never heard of the idea of taking a beat and rapping and rhyming over it until I appeared. I'm just saying, no one else had that idea. He's a
oh man, it's too funny. Okay, let's listen to what Booker has to finish saying here, and then maybe
and then Booker goes, and then Top Dollar showed me that rap music existed. He came back in a time machine and he told me, he said, Booker, listen to this new sound. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, it's like Back to the Future. The guy's like, I got the next new sound. Holds out the phone. He's doing easy.
AJ France is like, I invented Spotify. Nobody even heard of it. I put all the songs in one place. I drag and dropped them onto an app, and it was all me. He's just a loser.
Dude, you hate AJ France.
Yeah, because it's the guy's embarrassing. He got all these people fired. He got all of these people fired because of his attitude and his mark behavior.
Why did he get no? But that's what AJ was calling out. He's like, dude, Swerve. Listen, though, that's what AJ was calling out. He's like, Swerve put out this. He's like, do you know who said I had an attitude? And it was Swerve. He's like, why do you think none of us like Swerve? He's like, why do you think the other two have jobs? And that's the thing. Francis still worked with WWE after they were all released. He still worked with them a bit on one of those A&E TV shows for a bit.
What did he do? Test out diabetic socks for them?
No. He hosted he was literally like the face of their TV show that they filmed like after his release as a wrestler,
Yeah, and then they realized that it's not worth it.
Dude, you fucking what happened? Yo, do you and him have like a beef that goes back?
No, it's just I just am so I find a guy like him humiliating because this is one of those people in wrestling where they're like, we're begging to make you rich. We're begging to give you money. We're begging to do, and he's just like, nope, too big of a just a giant that fucks everything up. And then somehow he still lives in this delusion where he's like, yeah, I was on the most successful thing that they ever did on streaming platforms and all this other. It's like, all right, Ryback. God, it's right. It's it.
Ryback.
It is. It's Ryback. That's he's
Ryback.
Ryback. Oh my god! Awful made the joke, not me.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Let's finish. I'm not allowed to say that.
Yeah. That's Awful made the joke. Okay.
Neither am I in some circles.
So here we go. Booker T, let's hear what he has to say. He actually is also quoted as saying, like, I was invited on Vlad TV, but, I declined it. And then Vlad's like, that's not true. And he hits him with DMs. So let's listen to this and then check in with what Vlad has to say. Of course, he's got receipts on everybody. We know that.
This is a movie. All right. And I'm upset. I'm upset because more importantly, I'm disappointed.
Okay, Uncle, I will not piss on the toilet seat. Sorry.
You got played. You got played, bro. You got played. You let that man play you.
I'll take out the trash.
You against me and me against you. I don't know how many stories you ever heard about that on Vlad TV, but it's many of them. It's many stories out there about the black man against the black man because Vlad is pitting them against each other. I don't know how many people you heard that got locked up from the federal perspective about going on Vlad TV. I don't know what the hell you doing on.
So for those of you listening who are unfamiliar with Vlad TV, he started out interviewing rappers primarily, and he's a DJ from back in the day, and he's infamously considered like an informant, and people have made like documentaries on YouTube. You can look him up where they connect dots of like oh, because this guy said this on Vlad, this guy got arrested or whatever. And then Vlad has since transitioned into interviewing. Well, he's always kind of interviewed actors and stuff like that, and people in the culture, as it's referred to as, and Booker and some black wrestlers now, like I guess Maven, Swerve. Has he talked to Jazz or
his interviews with D-list black celebrities is outrageous. Like coming up this week, Alfonso Ribeiro. He's going to tell you what's going on with what happened with the
treasure.
Yeah, certainly is. All right.
And then he just
Raven Simone.
Like, and then he's like, so Alfonso, have you committed crimes?
Yeah,
right.
Dude, it's pretty much that. It's like, so what illegal activity did you witness on the set of Fresh Prince? And he's like, come again?
I was told that you didn't like Uncle Phil. Come on.
He's like, so I was told that you did something that could get you arrested.
And
Could you tell me about it? What was it exactly? He's like snapping his finger like, I don't know what it is. Dang, can you tell me? Why don't you tell the world too?
That's what Booker's referring to here, and we'll get the quote about him denying being on Vlad or rejecting it or whatever he had to say, but then the texts prove otherwise. We'll see if Booker even says that quote in this little snippet here.
Vlad TV, first of all, what have you done to be on Vlad TV? Okay, that's just my opinion on that.
Yeah, there you go. Well, D-list celebrities, you're the one who just said it awful, so I mean, come on now. So Booker T said, I had an offer to be on Vlad TV before as well, and I turned it down. They called me back and they offered me money to go on Vlad TV, and I turned it down because I was not going to go on Vlad TV and be exploited. I wasn't going to go on Vlad TV and have him make me look like a fool in front of the world. I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to go on Vlad TV. Man, he says Vlad TV a lot and say anything negative towards my black man that's ever been in the business, because I know how hard it is for all of us. I've been the first one saying it. Any brother, get in his bag. I'm all in 100%. I told Swerve to his face how disappointed I am in him, etc. And then it goes on to say, so he said that right before the part that was snipped there, right? So then we scroll down. Vlad comes with some receipts here, man. And let me see as we scroll. Yeah,
right.
Ice. Right? So where is it? We have it somewhere. Here we go. DJ Vlad tweets out. He responds to Wrestle Purists, okay? So he responds to them, and here's direct messages with Booker T. And Vlad says, interested in interviewing you for Vlad TV. We recently did Mark Henry. So
can I stop you right there? Can I stop you right here, Phil? Yes. I just happened to take a look. at the dates. We're talking 5 years ago, before Vlad was exposed.
Oh, is this 5 years ago? It is.
Yeah, look at that. Stop this nonsense. Didn't we do this before, bro? Like, where it's just like you catch them red-handed. Yeah.
Oh my God, you just caught him, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy. 5 years ago.
And this nonsense. Right. Stop.
Wait, what did I miss? I was just sending Top Dollar a text because he needed to teach me how to use my computer. What happened?
You were just busy hate tweeting Top Dollar off your fucking burner account.
I was asking him. I'm like, dude, I can't figure out how to use this keyboard on my computer. And he's like, man, I invented the keyboard. Let me tell you about how a keyboard works. You gotta put your hand on the home row. You heard? And I'm like, yeah, I think that's a good idea, Top Dollar. And he's like, yeah, all these guys just come around talking about what it's like learning how to type. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, that's right. Thanks. Thank you for your help, Francis. Wait, so what happened with Booker?
So basically, Booker was like, I was asked to be on Vlad TV. And then he's like, and then Vlad dropped these DMs being like, okay, Booker's like, I rejected Vlad TV. And then Vlad's like, no, I have DMs of him saying, I'm excited to come on Vlad. Meanwhile, Awful pointed out, and I didn't even notice this, these DMs are from 5 years ago. They tried to get Booker T on. So it's like before Vlad was like fully, because there was a big YouTube boom during the pandemic as well. You know what I mean? Where a lot of these channels reignited, a lot of new channels blossomed, and this boom carried over. out of the pandemic as well, and we've seen it happen in live entertainment and stuff like that. But YouTube's one of those things where, like, you know, they suffered a huge boom, and so that's when a lot of these like documentary style YouTube channels started popping up out of nowhere, where they're documenting what everyone's doing and now, you know what I mean? So they were watching Vlad during the pandemic, and then a few years later they're like, here's how, you know, they start piecing together, like, here's how these rappers have gone to jail and da-da-da-da. So and I know there's probably some of that beforehand, right? Like, this has been a rumor about Vlad for a long time, but that being said, Awful pointed out this is 5 years ago, you know what I mean? So anyways, Booker,
wait.
sorry,
So
yeah,
he's expecting. Wait, so Vlad is like, yeah, 5 years ago I asked you to be on the show because he thinks that's relevant to Booker T.
Exactly, and
You
this man is really trying to like serpent his way into the IWC by, like, I think I saw a tweet maybe about a half hour ago where he was just like, who's the biggest podcast out there? I want to talk about Booker T and this Swerve thing. And I'm like, Jim Cornette's not going for that.
Could you? Oh my God. Could you?
Definitely not.
This is once again showing you, though, like, clearly this guy has no idea what he's getting himself into. You know, he's like, what's the biggest podcast in the wrestling sphere? Because they'll just let me on. They know who I am. No, they don't, dude. They don't. I'm sorry. Like, imagine trying to explain DJ Vlad to Jim Cornette.
Right.
You're like, all right, so Jim, you see, there's this guy. What he does is he's a what do we call leech? What he does is he interviews people and tries to get them to self-incriminate constantly. And he's created a business through that. Oh, you might know him. Jim, you might remember him. He had Hannibal on there. Remember that good guy? Remember Hannibal?
You might remember him, Jim. He's the guy that the song Informant by Snow is written. Informer.
No, Jim, what you want to do is you definitely want to let him on your show so then he can make fun of Booker T, who's never done a thing to you. So that would make sense, right? Like, it's amazing to me when you see these people that are just outside of the wrestling bubble. And to some extent, you ask yourself a question when you see this happening. You're looking at it and you're going, do you want them to find out how bad it is on their own? And should we like point and laugh and be like, you thought this would be sweet and it's awful for you? Or should we warn them as to say, you know, oh, I did interviews with like 6 wrestlers, so I know what I'm getting myself into. It's like, dude, you have no idea how hideously toxic and terrible this fan base is. No clue. What do you think? Because you did some interview where a couple people made fun of NBA Youngboy's new album or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're like, oh, this is the same thing. It's like, no, wrestling fans will hate you every moment of your life into the day you die. Because in the year 2016, you didn't say something nice about Wade Barrett. You're dealing with a level of psychosis that you might not understand.
God,
you know, yo, let me hop on the biggest wrestling podcast. Yeah, have fun. Good luck. Find that.
Good luck.
Do that. See how that works out for you there, Officer Vlad.
So half a decade ago, DJ Vlad DM'd Booker T, and the exchange went something like this.
And you don't remember
you for Vlad TV. We recently did Mark Henry. And then Booker T says, hey, what's up, bro? I'm definitely interested. What all would you want to cover? I'm based in Houston, so we would do it over Zoom or something. And then he's like, interested in covering your career like I do in most of my interviews. We have a cameraman in Houston, so we can do it remotely that way. We can go to your location or book a studio. And then Booker's like, yeah, if he'd want to meet me at my studio where I do my show, we can do it that way. When would you want to do it? I'm normally free on Thursdays. And then samesies, twins. No. Vlad says, send contact info and my assistant will coordinate. So...
And by the way, I would almost guarantee you this conversation stopped between whoever's assistant and Booker T when Booker said, yeah, that's going to be $3,500.
And what just like, and what like a snitch ass thing to do. Just drop these
dude,
DMs
opened up his DMs. Like, how snitchy is that?
It's so bitch made, dude. It's like, what the? No one asked. Vlad, you could have just said, this is what's up. And then if Booker denied it, you could have proved it wrong then. But Vlad's such a little weasel. He just drops these DMs.
Not to mention, Phil, the man, even on screen right now, is saying to himself, or excuse me, said to someone, he was mad that I was late and didn't want to reschedule. Well, yeah, God damn it. Booker T might be a professional, maybe not show up late. And then he doubles down. I don't know if you've got this or not, but he talks about like how Booker T took a picture with some guy who was alleged of doing something or other, and it's just like, see, you hang out with child. Come on now.
Jason rants. Did Vlad say that about him?
Yes.
Well, Vlad doesn't know what he's talking about. It's what Joe just said, man. You don't understand the wrestling business, right? So, like, Jason Rance is a gatekeeper for, like, a lot of that. I believe it's the Florida scene. No, I'm so sorry if I'm off on that, but lots of wrestlers in NXT and TNA right now know that guy, okay? You look up his past.
They bumped around in his wrestling ring.
Exactly, man. You look up his past, it's shady. You got to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, though, as far as like, listen, if they know about it, that's, but we can't sit here and monitor like who everyone follows and interacts with. We don't know if he paid Booker T to come there and teach a seminar. I don't know how good of friends they are. Check out Grapple Vision's channel. Okay. My friend, Gary Von Erich, he does a good job of covering all this. Okay. And he knows a lot of the people involved in all this. And, yeah, man, it's just with Chasen, it's like so many people right now, then you can't watch wrestling because it's like so many people cross paths with that dude and interact with him. And he's trained and been, brings people in to train so many people. So who are now you're seeing on TV and stuff and have for a while. So, I mean, that's not Vlad, like, shut up, bro. You don't, it's like a very nuanced thing. Yeah, and for you to hate on Booker now, for you to go after Booker, that's wild, dude. Fucking
man,
DJ Vlad's an idiot, man.
Can you believe all these guys? They shared a locker room in the early 2000s with a guy that murdered his wife and child. Can you believe that? Can you believe you listen? You have no place to say anything to me, Deuce and Domino, because you shared a locker room with a murderer. Like, just shut up, dude.
Yeah, man. Shut the up. So this ends. They exchange emails. Vlad says, got it. He goes, thanks, bro. Really looking forward to it. That's what Booker says. And then me too. And then Vlad's like, this is a lie. Here's actual DMs from Booker saying how excited he is to do it. He just said he's really looking forward to it. I guess
he's looking forward to getting work from you and getting paid.
Yeah, I guess he's excitable. He comes across that way in the DMs, but okay. He was at my studio, but I ran late. And then Vlad responds to this guy. So yeah, call him brief, says, and yet Booker, even 5 years later, texts don't mean without a follow through. And then Vlad says he was mad that I was late and didn't want to reschedule. He said that he was offered to do my show and refused, which is an outright lie. He was literally at the studio waiting for me to show up. Well, that's true, but he was waiting for you to show up and then he refused to do it when you turned up late. So that's somewhat, if you're going to play games with saying how excited he is, and all he said was like, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And then, so if you're going to get mad now about him playing semantics, Vlad, you policeman, this is cop tactics, bro. This don't work on me. You know what I mean, dude?
Ultimately, he didn't even do the interview. Like, come on now.
So that's a refusal right there, bro. However you want to break it down. But yeah.
So what? I'm still a little behind the 8 ball in this. What is the exact thing that Swerve said that has this dude so up in arms? Well, Booker up in arms, I should say.
Swerve said, like, in the other company, they're racist. And when Booker T sat there during that vignette, like, I'm paraphrasing here. This isn't, if someone wants the exact quote, someone can quote it. But yeah, I'm paraphrasing here. And, Vince said the N-word in front of Booker T. So if Booker T, because Booker T had commented prior to that on like, Swerve Strickland and how this has been ongoing for a while, bro. As far
did he say the N-word like Kendrick Lamar, or did he say the N-word like Michael Richards?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Which one?
Oh, that old segment. Yes.
That segment. And Booker's standing right there, and Vince is like, he says what he says, and then Cena's there and Booker's there, and that's wild, right? And with Vince, it's just like a power thing. That's why he didn't pay that paralegal. That's why he felt like he could do that in front of Booker, whatever. And then Swerve criticized that before. publicly. So then Booker responded to it, and they were being very cordial. But then Swerve had that to say on Vlad. He was like, "Yeah, you know, in that other company when Vince did that, da 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 da." And then Booker responded on his show. We watched the clip. He was fuming, and then Booker was like, "Yeah, I was offered to do Vlad, whatever." That's when Vlad all of a sudden just snitch drops DMs.
Right.
Now you can never, no one can ever trust you again now, Vlad. You know, like
Dude.
I'll never
provocation.
defend
Like,
Vince McMahon for
Me
a
neither,
lot
me
of
neither.
the shit he's done. But let me ask you this
oh,
question.
come on, pal. I'm not a
Oh,
bad guy. I handed out some kittens before the trial.
I said please before I got her
Yeah, I
head.
said please before I put that on her head in that
Well,
Motel 8
r-
while
r-
wearing a fake mustache to hide my identity.
Somebody just real quick, how old is Swerve? He's got to be late 30s, right? Mid to late 30s?
Mid, probably.
Mid, well, he's mid all around, but mid to
Yeah,
late 30s.
you're not kidding.
Okay, so
he's 34 years of age.
He's 34 years old. Okay,
Yeah.
so he grew up, he was alive and well and present in the early 2000s, around the time when this happened. Now, real quick, let me millennial explain to some of the people that are younger that might not know this. In the early 2000s, this was like basic edgelord comedy.
Right.
There was a whole series of movies by a group of gentlemen called the Wayans Brothers.
Right.
And they were called Scary Movie.
And it's coming back, thank God, with the
And-
OG creators.
But yes, that was the theme of the comedy at that time, where they'd have like the little white girl say the N-word or dress like a rapper, and it was supposed to be like, hey, she doesn't dress like that. Like, that's what it was in the early 2000s. And now that's not saying that it was creative or incredibly clever or it didn't age like a gallon of milk in the sun, but that's what happened at that time. And Booker standing there going like, please tell me you didn't say that. That's early
Tell
2000s.
me he did not just say that. That's literally his gimmick, dude.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's not like Vince walked up to him and like knocked his lunch plate out of his hand and called him the N-word. And Booker was like, yeah, that's fine. This will work for the TV show. This is good television. But that's what it is. It's like like I said, you have to feel like you explain things within the context of that time. And the idea of it was to be comedic. Was it tasteful? Of course not. Of course there wasn't.
No.
But for Swerve to kind of frame that as like, now I'm in this unbelievable place where nothing bad ever happens. There's
And a
no
bunch
drama.
of a bunch of wrestlers in AEW in their PWG days and earlier, like Excalibur and stuff. I think Sami Zayn as well. Like they were saying using racial slurs and storylines and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, edgelord early
time.
2000s.
Exactly. They were doing that. Like
and the
Sami
Young
Zayn
Bucks. Don't forget about the Young Bucks.
I think Brian Cage. Not to throw him if he did or didn't. I'm so sorry, but I'm pretty sure he said something in a ring one time. Dropped an N-bomb or something. What else? Excalibur did it like rank. Excalibur, he did a storyline where he was just like uber.
Did you know that?
Racist,
did you know AJ
racialist.
Francis invented edgy storylines?
Okay, God.
No one had ever done them before. He was like, "Hey, what if we had the
God.
person that's not supposed to say the thing say the thing?" And it's like, Jesus, AJ, can we give you more money? And he's like, "No, I must leave and go to TNA where I can be appreciated as an amazing, talented artist."
AJ made that theme, by the way.
Yeah, he produced that, by the way.
I was 6 years old. I made it on a Muppet Babies Casio keyboard. And somebody heard it and they said, there's wrestlers that will come out to this. And I said, I guess I'll share my vision with the world.
Oh my goodness, man. Okay, we got a few more to get through here. So BJ Bethel is in response. This is to MJ from NJ, friend of the show, okay, who held like a Twitter space, I guess. I was unaware of this till after, but he was like, by God, this is not, you know what I mean? This math ain't mathin'. And so BJ Bethel tweets out, one of the people holding a Twitter space about me right now said I had to be taking cash from Tony Khan, who I've never met or talked to in my life, because my AEW TV deal reporting was too accurate. Now, other people have pulled receipts on BJ Bethel. I guess he used to like trade cards with Tony Khan or something like that, or tapes or something like that. I think Meltzer said what is on this guy's ass. no Diddy for this, right? And so Gideon was saying, have you ever seen such a reaction? They're literally holding X Spaces conversations about your piece because they cannot accept the reality you have provided. My problem is that it's just not reality, right? And it's hot news. So again, like we said, why can you write this whole report and be like, I got my numbers corroborated, but Switchblade writes a report like, well, here's these numbers using Dave's math or whatever, and that's wrong? Or why can you do this?
Yeah, or he's a loser that has too much time on his hands or whatever the
right, MJ from NJ's holding a Spaces and Gadzooks, that's so cringe and he's obsessed and why is he talking about you and his mind's melting? No, he's just refuting. That's what they do in science. That's what they do. That's how you get to the truth of things and the answer. You know, you discuss it and you disagree. And it's like, Jesus Christ, man. It's so crazy how it's like good for me, not for thee. That's the mentality here since day one of PWT.
You're adding numbers together.
Yeah, dude. What the hell?
He's just making some up, and you're like adding the ones he made up together, and then giving them an extra sum because you're being generous. How dare you do that?
Because it's wrestling.
Yeah, you cut and paste a bunch of numbers into a calculator. Whoa, stalker.
Yeah.
Hold it right there. The scientific method serves no purpose here in this debate.
2 plus 2 equals stop being hard. Stop torturing
my brain
me.
hurts. Ow, my ears. Yeah, my ears hurt.
BJ Bethel. That's a good name. That's a good name for a dog, I think. BJ Bethel.
But here's what MJ from NJ's trying to say, and sometimes he starts talking and he gets off in the weeds with the mathematical and the, you know, it's hard to keep up. But what he's trying to say, right? And I like MJ from NJ because he'll correct himself if he's up to, like, he'll even say, well, maybe my math's off on it, but here's the thing with him, right? What he's trying to say is that, like, if these people aren't getting paid in some ways by Tony Khan, like, let's say he's even floated out the conspiracy. He's like, what if you know, let's say Tony Khan buys 25 or AEW buys $25,000 worth of subscriptions every month from Dave Meltzer, let's say, and like for the boy or whatever, something like that, you know, we don't know. And that could be an incentive as well, instead of like an actual Dave Meltzer owns a chunk or whatever. So these are all theories, of course. I just go by what we know and can prove. I just laugh at Dave because he's just objectively dumb and mush melting. But I mean, if you want to go down that route, I'm willing to listen to it. You know, it's not like the guy's saying the earth's flat. Like, I would be more shocked if, you know, I'd be more shocked if Dave wasn't getting paid too with the way he gargles AEW, you know?
I would love a Dave Meltzer Earth is Flat theory podcast.
Oh, well, you know, there's a firmament, Brian.
Yeah,
there's a firmament.
a tournament. There's what is it? An interplanetary tournament for.
Well, you know, the Anunnaki. They use us to harvest gold, Brian.
Listen to this guy. Man went Graham Hitchcock on us.
The Anunnaki. The Anunnaki. That almost sounds Japanese.
The best guys, Eric Dubé.
The best guys, Lord Xenu. Scientology, Dave Meltzer explains history of the world through smart logic. Is that what you're going with? It's like, man. Ancient astronaut theorist. But by the way, there is more credibility to an ancient astronaut theorist than a professional wrestling journalist. Just so you know, that's
so true, dude. Yeah, Lord Jamar makes more fucking sense than some of these fucking
that dude with the spiky hair that's like, we can't explain pyramids. So you know what? Maybe someone came from another planet.
So here's a bunch of tubes underneath them. They had toilets before.
And that's still
they don't flush the other way. They flush they flush north to south.
Like we can say, hey, what happened with the tombs in Egypt and the pyramids? Like, oh, okay, great. But then you go and you listen to like Smark lore, and it's Shibata had his brain removed.
Right.
You can punch somebody. You can chop them in the tit 750,000 times, and that's better than just having a match.
Exploding boot super kick doesn't kill a man if it's a shoot, right?
Yeah,
he doesn't have horrible facial scars after, you know.
And you're just looking at it, and you're just going, you know what? I think I'm going with the ancient astronaut theorist in this situation. think I'm going with that. You know what? I'm going to start calling myself that. I'm not calling myself a wrestling podcaster anymore. I'm an ancient astronaut theorist.
Yeah.
Conspiracy soup, right?
Yeah.
Astronaut theorist soup.
No. I'll still talk about wrestling, but if people get on their high horse and they're like, you guys are making jokes, aren't you journalists? I'm going to be like, no, actually, I'm an ancient astronaut theorist. So,
according to Cultaholic here, AEW Collision to air live on April 17. They will not go head to head with WrestleMania. So they worked out this sort of thing. To where their collisions are going to air on Thursdays whenever they're head to head with WWE, even though AEW's gone head to head with themselves in the past and Ring of Honor, but they're not willing to go head to head with WWE. Pretty crazy. It doesn't matter.
This is why I respect Eric Bischoff better than Tony Khan. I don't give a how many times Dynamite overlaps or has more shows than WCW Worldwide or even Nitro. Like, give me a break with this. That man went head to head with the WWE at the time. Tony Khan runs away from that type of heat because he knows what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah. No, you're right, dude. And it's like Tony calls the shot. Husey always speculates. He's like, man, Tony has to be funding this with WBD somehow as well because they're just so willing to work with him, you know? Like there has to be some sort of my theory is they just peel off the top of everything. They're like, you can do whatever you want, have 500,000 viewers minimum for Dynamite, and we get a piece of the pay-per-view, a piece of you stream, you do this deal, we just get a little percentage of that, and you can do what you want. That's my belief.
Allegedly.
We're alleging things over here, but
I can't stop. Davis, an ancient Puriso theorist.
where? Yeah.